It's like he was like Black Jesus to me.
That wasn't Michael Jordan out there. It was God disguised as
Jordan
Michael
down the
Jordan.
lane. Whoa! Skirt dunk right over Sigma.
Fake shoots. Michael Jordan, the greatest player of all.
March 19, 1993, the Chicago Stadium. Most people remember this as just another Friday night in the NBA. But for Michael Jordan, it was the night he met a ghost, a player named LaBradford Smith. By the end of the fourth quarter, something impossible had happened. A backup guard for the Washington Bullets had just dropped 37 points on the greatest player to ever live. As the buzzer sounded, LaBradford walked up to Michael, put a hand on his shoulder, and whispered for simple words, for words that would lead to one of the most terrifying displays of athletic vengeance in history. But here's the thing. Those words were never actually spoken. This is the story of the greatest lie Michael Jordan ever told and why he had to tell it to become a god. To understand the gravity of this, you have to understand who Michael Jordan was in 1993. He wasn't just a basketball player. He was a cultural phenomenon. He was coming off back-to-back championships. He was untouchable. Then came LaBradford Smith. LaBradford was a sophomore out of Louisville. He was talented, sure, but he was a journeyman. He wasn't supposed to be a footnote in
However,
NBA history.
nobody was as
let alone a
feared as Michael
protagonist.
Jordan,
On this
who was
night,
as equally
however,
vicious
the
and
rim looked like the
vindictive
size
as he
of the
was a great
Atlantic Ocean
basketball
to him.
player.
Smith finished with 37 points. Jordan, he had an off night at least by his standards. The Bulls won the game, but the narrative was set. Michael Jordan had been outplayed. As they walked off the floor, the cameras caught a brief exchange, and that is where the legend and the nightmare begins. According to the story Michael told his teammates in the locker room, Smith had leaned in and said, "Nice game, Mike." Now, to a normal person, that sounds like a compliment. To Michael Jeffrey Jordan, it was a declaration of war. It was an insult to his lineage, his brand, and his soul. The Bulls were scheduled to play the Bullets again the very next night, this time in Washington. In the locker room, before the rematch, Jordan was different. He didn't joke. He didn't play cards. He sat in front of his locker, lacing his shoes, and told his teammates, "I'm going to have what he had by halftime." What LaBradford Smith had was 37. Jordan wanted it in 24 minutes. When the ball tipped off the next night, it wasn't a basketball game. It was a public execution. Jordan didn't just want to win. He wanted to erase LaBradford Smith from the professional record. He scored 10 points in the first few minutes, then 15, then 20. He was hitting fadeaways with his eyes closed. He was hounding Smith on defense, guarding him full court, whispering in his ear. By halftime, Jordan had 36 points. He missed his goal by a single point. He finished the game with 47, while Smith was held to a miserable 15. The problem was solved. The hierarchy was restored. But as the years went by, people started asking LaBradford Smith about that night. They asked him about the 4 words that sparked the fire, and LaBradford's answer changed everything. Years later, reporters finally caught up with LaBradford Smith. They asked him, "Why did you say it? Why did you poke the bear?" Smith looked at them, confused. "I never said a word to him," he replied. "I was just happy I played well. I didn't want to make him mad. I knew better." Wait, if Smith didn't say it ... then where did the story come from? Journalists went back to Jordan, and eventually, the truth came out. Michael Jordan had made it up. He had completely fabricated the nice game, Mike quote in his own head. This reveals the most terrifying aspect of Michael Jordan's psychology. He was so dominant, so much better than his peers, that he often ran out of real reasons to be angry. He had no rivals left, so he started inventing them. He needed to feel slighted. He needed to feel disrespected to reach that God mode level of performance. If a player didn't talk trash to him, Michael would simply hallucinate that they did. It was a self-induced psychosis designed for one purpose: total athletic destruction. This wasn't a one-time thing. We saw it with B.J. Armstrong. We saw it with George Karl when he didn't say hello at a restaurant. We saw it with the famous flu game. But the LaBradford Smith story is the purest example because it shows the collateral damage. LaBradford Smith was a young kid with a bright future. After that 47-point onslaught by Jordan, his confidence was shattered. He was out of the league just 2 years later. We often celebrate the Mamba mentality, or Jordan's will to win. We make posters out of it, but there is a darker side to that moon. To be the greatest of all time, Jordan had to be a man who could convince himself of a lie so deeply that he could destroy another man's career just to prove a point to himself. It wasn't about basketball. It was about a man who could not coexist with the idea of being second, not even for one night, not even in a game that didn't matter. So, what is the greatest Michael Jordan story never told? It's not a story about a dunk or a game-winning shot. It's the story of a man who was so competitive that he became his own greatest opponent. He built a hall of mirrors where every face he saw was an enemy, and every whisper he heard was a challenge even when the room was silent. LaBradford Smith eventually became a high school coach. He's at peace with what happened, but for Michael Jordan, the game never truly ended, because when you're at the top, the only person left to lie to is yourself. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the psychology of greatness, hit the subscribe button and let us know in the comments, who is the most competitive athlete you've ever seen?